School. So please do join us. Panel discussion in 5 minutes' time.
Test, test. Test, 1, 2, 2. Test, 8.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Schools and Nursery Show here in Dubai. I'm delighted that we're here this weekend and not last weekend. We might have had an empty hall after the rain, so it's fantastic that everybody has come together. My name is Fiona Cottam and I'm the principal at Heartland International School, but you won't be hearing from me this morning. My job is to facilitate the discussions with panels of experts that we've drawn from a range of curriculums and a range of schools across the city. Each one of these experts will over the course of the morning, be able to guide you, answer any of your questions that you might have, and certainly give their insights into the questions that we'll be dealing with. We are live streaming all of the discussions, so if you're watching us online and you're not physically with us in the room, a warm welcome to you as well. The first topic of this morning is a really good place to start, really, for a Schools and Nursery Show, and that is choosing a primary school, whether that be at foundation stage or at different stages throughout the primary phase if you're new to the city, and how to actually start the process, what questions to ask, and ultimately, how do you know if you've made the right decision? Now, there's no necessarily right or wrong answers to this, but I'm delighted this morning to be joined by Scott Kirkland from Emirates International School. Thank you, Scott. To Laura Mitchell from GEMS Al Barsha National School. Laura Mitchell Claridge, I beg your pardon. To Janine Budinstein, who is coming to us from Glendale International School. And Carrie Hosier, who's joining us from Uptown International School. So, Scott, you've taken the seat beside me. You're going to get the first question. I'm going to throw it to you. Let's start that discussion. Where do parents even know how to begin or where to begin?
Choosing school can be quite arduous in terms of you really want to make that decision based upon correct information. So the first place to start is doing your research, thinking about the types of curricula that you yourself like or prefer, or if you're coming from international, which curricula in Dubai align with where you're coming from. Now that can stem anything to do with age ranges. If you look at curriculums from the UK, children will be starting school at around 3 years old. If you look at curriculums, if you're coming in from Australia or South Africa, you'll be starting school a lot later. So you need to think about those age ranges as well. But research is always that best place to start.
Jadine, I know that you're leading in the foundation stage. Again, lots of parents here for whom it'll be their first time ever even thinking about putting their child into school. What are the questions they should ask you?
I think the best advice would be to look at what your child is interested in as well, what your child is passionate about. It gives you a good idea of what type of school would actually help your child to thrive and to nourish the skills and the talents they have. Even if your child hasn't found a passion or something that they're enthusiastic about, finding what would support them in the future, what would help them to grow from an early age, so that as they progress through the years, throughout schooling and throughout high school, that they're confident and they're in an environment that they feel happy in, and you can bring out the best in your child.
And Laura, you're coming to us from a dual language starting point as a school. Again, you know, considering parents from across the city, what questions might they ask in your school?
Can you hear me? Sorry. I think we are a dual language school at my school, but we get children from all over the place, and I think it's about children at an early age being sponges, and they can take on many languages. So I think it's just making sure that your child's in the right setting for them, whether that be a dual language or a single language, but having the opportunity for those young children to take on those skills at an early age.
And Carrie, any differences between, you know, Scott talked about curriculum at the start in terms of that breadth and that challenge. From an IB perspective, questions to ask perhaps for parents?
I think because IB is quite a new curriculum compared to some of the others, it's often one that people have the most questions about. It's something that many of us didn't go through ourselves in our childhood, and I think no matter what curriculum you choose, it's about what aligns with your values and what you want for your child and what fits best with your child. The IB, the idea of the IB is that it's got those core skills and that rigor, but it also makes sure that we look at our children from that global perspective, and that we're looking at community service, and we're looking at taking action and children feeling empowered that they're part of a global community. Now, wonderful, outstanding schools, no matter which curriculum, will do those things as well, but the IB has that as part of their accreditation.
Scott, one of the big challenges that parents face in the city at the moment is actually nothing to do with curriculum. It's all about traffic, isn't it? You know, what should parents think about when they're choosing a school in relation to location, as it were?
Location does definitely come into it. The distance that some children are travelling to school is rather large. Now, I know in the more newer areas of Dubai, there are a lot more schools opening up, so that challenge is becoming a lot less. Now, there's something like 19 odd curriculums across Dubai and hundreds of different schools, but you do have to factor in how far those children are travelling, and the type, if you are comfortable with your children going on buses, that's absolutely fabulous. If you're not, then that's something you really need to consider. Children wake up very early to get on buses and travel in. Sometimes they're coming home very late. So travel is definitely a factor for choosing a school. Now, I know that within certain areas there are lots of schools rather close. Others, you can travel quite a distance too.
Jadine, anything else to add to that? What other, I mean, we're looking at curriculum, we look at location. Any other key questions for parents to consider in those first initial deciding points?
I think the best idea is, even though you see a whole variety of schools here, the best thing is to actually visit a school and get the feel of it, get the feel of the environment, see the type of staff are there. Does it feel like the kind of environment that your child will be safe and comfortable and happy? Just as you do anything else in life, you buy a house, you go and have a look. You buy a car, you go have a look. Go look at that environment and see if it matches with what you want for the future for your child and your family as well.
So Laura, I've arrived at your school. What are the key questions for parents to ask?
When they're visiting the school?
Yeah, when they arrive in through the doors to visit.
I think the first thing is, how welcome do you feel? I think having a happy, smiley, warm welcome. If you feel welcome, your children will feel welcome on a day and every day. And I also think it's really important to try, if you can, to visit when the school is in action, when the staff are in, the children are in, and you can see how the children and the staff with each other interact, and you get a feel. And I think that's really important, that feel you get, like you would when you go to buy a house and you feel like this home. It's the same with a school, and I know when I walked into my school, I got that feel that I thought this is a place for me. And I think that's really important. Take your child as well, because you'll see from their perspective, what do they see, and how do they feel about the school?
Carrie, I can see you sort of in agreement. Anything to add on that topic?
It's absolutely about that, okay? You've got all these people here that will tell you their school is the best school. It's about you going, you feeling that school, your child feeling that school. A school that only wants to speak to you as a parent isn't the right school for your child. It's going, and you will just know because you will feel it here. And it's about those relationships, about the connectivity with your family, and then also those logistics that we were talking about. How long is it going to take me to get there? Do the journey at school pickup time. Drive the journey home to your house at drop-off time, because we all know different times of the day in Dubai have different levels of traffic. So look at those aspects, not just the shiny facilities. Look at what's in those classrooms. What are the resources that your child will have every day in front of them? Think about what aligns with your values. Do you want a school that's putting a huge amount of technology in? Do you want a school that focuses on sport? Think about your child as an individual and what they will bring to your child. Every child is different.
So I'm going to come back to you again, Scott, and it always means that I'm landing on you, so you've got to do the quickest thinking time. So I'll try and make the question a bit longer so it gives you a little bit of thinking time. But you know, I've arrived in the door. I feel happy. I feel loved. I like the fact that that sport is a priority or whatever it might be, and the location seems okay. What are the key questions? What are the key questions that you would hope that a school would answer for a parent, or indeed, what questions should parents ask of a school when they arrive?
A lot of the key questions that we get asked is, what do we do in terms of assessments? What do we do in terms of sport, in terms of music, parents, student to teacher ratios? They're quite often the questions that come up. Textbooks, do we use textbooks? How often are the students writing? How often do they use technology? And it's those types of questions that you have to be prepared to answer in depth with parents. Now, another one that always comes up, and I always say it's something a school never gets right, and that is homework. Some parents would want lots, some parents don't want any. So when you are considering a school, these are the types of things that you have to, again, like one of our colleagues was saying, make sure that they align with your values. If they're not aligning with your values, then you are going to start coming into loggerheads with the school itself. But it's not just and I always think it's about that communication. If you're on that school tour and you're not finding the answers you want and you're getting cut off, think about the communication that the school is having with you who's coming in. How is that going to impact long term when you are asking questions of teachers, of senior leaders within that school? You need a school that's got that nice open communication, that is willing to sit down and listen to you as that parent. I think that's really important to look for that school that has that open communication.
Carrie, because you're last, your brain has to work and after everybody else has spoken. So this time I'll come down to you. Other key questions for parents to consider?
One question that I always ask as a mum is, how many years have the majority or the average number of teachers been at your school? So is there a very high turnover? The KHDA look at that when we get all our inspections. They look at how often is there a turnover in your school, because if teachers are happy and teachers feel valued, then in turn parents and children feel valued as well. Also the qualifications of teachers. What's wonderful about the UAE is that the KHDA have very high expectations of teachers in the UAE, and there's certain levels of assessment, certain levels of training. How often is teacher training at the school? Do you train your teaching assistants? Because those assistants in your classroom with your children are just as important as the teachers. So what training do you provide for your teachers as well?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I always think that my teaching assistants are actually my most expensive resource, and they're often my most skilled resource. So you're absolutely right to look at all of those aspects. Laura, anything else that you might add to that in terms of those key questions?
Yeah, I'm going to agree there. I think a lot of it depends on what you hold highly and what your child is like. So if your child is sporty, then you might want to look more at the facilities, or the music facilities. What's going to meet your child's needs? Can this school meet your child's needs? And another one is that communication. How often are you involved as a parent? Do you have regular teacher meetings with your teachers? That open door policy that every school has, is it an open door policy? Can you go in and see your teachers, especially those that go on the bus? So you might not see your class teacher all the time. Are you able to get hold and discuss your child regularly to make sure that they're making the progress that you're looking for?
Jadine, if they're just starting off in foundation stage or KG, for example, is there anything specific to that part of the school that parents might want to ask or consider?
I think something that's really valuable is trying to find an environment that has a holistic learning experience for your child. As we all know, the career market, as children get older and as you become adults, there's so many new jobs coming out in the world. And you don't want to just focus on one specific area or just the curriculum or only on the sports. Look at all the variety of facilities that they have and the opportunities that they have. So from a young age, your child gets exposed to it and they find confidence to explore these different opportunities. And as they grow up, it will be a clearer sign for them what they enjoy and what they want to do with their lives as a human being. How can they contribute to the world as well? And we do that from the early years already, trying to find out what the children enjoy and how to build on these strengths that they have and the passions that they have.
So I've chosen my school based on all of the questions that you've now said. Laura, I'm 3 months in. How do I know I've made the right decision? What is it? What does tangibly? What does it feel like as a parent? How do I know it's the right school for my child?
I think ultimately, as parents, we want our child to be happy. Is your child happy? Do they feel safe? You know, are they growing in confidence? Do they feel that they can talk to their adults and their friends around them? And do they feel comfortable where they are? I think that's the first and the most important thing. Academic success, absolutely, that's what we want for our children. But I think that's the second. The first thing is our child happy, feeling safe and secure? Because the academics won't come unless they feel that way. So I think that's the most important. Are they happy and safe? And then from that, are they making the progress that you'd like to see? And then from there, that's when you need to start questioning your teachers and going in and rate if you've got concerns, making sure that you have that communication with your school. You know, we always say, you know, any question is not a silly question. You know, you need to have that communication. Speak to your school, speak to your teachers, your senior leaders if you have any concerns, so that they can support you in moving forward.
Scott, same question to you. You know, I'm 3 months in. What does it feel like?
You'll know when your child comes home, whether it's on a bus, whether you pick them up, when you have that first interaction, how they're feeling about themselves, whether it be socially, emotionally, or academics. If they're feeling successful, you know you've made that right choice. A lot of it comes back to that classroom and the connections that they have. Again, one of the questions we get asked is, can I meet my potential teacher? It's not so much about the potential teacher, it's about the feeling of that staff and the connections that you're seeing when you're walking around between the teachers and the students. We need to have that so we can move on with that success in academics, in social, and in an emotional.
Carrie, it's interesting. We were just talking a little while ago that this morning KHDA have just published the school inspection reports for all of the schools in Dubai that have been inspected, and it's gone live on their website. I think my email came in at 21 minutes past 7 this morning. So inspection reports and outcomes, the significance of that for parents who are considering choosing a school?
So inspections are a way that you can find out about that deep dive into a school. So inspectors will come into school, spend a week in the classrooms, going into every aspect, looking at your data, look at the data of the school, looking at how the children are performing within the classrooms, going into meetings with the leaders of the school. And that's that deeper insight from educational experts into what the school is looking at. It gives that longitudinal journey. It doesn't just look at that snapshot when they come in. They look at data over the previous years of the school. And it's a great place to start. They follow a framework. They ensure the consistency of schools are in the right place, the journey. They're comparing like for like. That is hard for us to do as parents. So it's about taking that information, taking information from your friends, from people that are around you that have those similar values as you, and building that bigger picture. You know, there's so many websites out there, Which School Advisor, for example, that does those direct comparisons, and it's using that information. And we're very lucky in the UAE, although it means inspections every year, it means that you get that up-to-date knowledge of where each school is and the journey that that school is on.
JD, and I can see you sort of nodding in agreement there. Inspection reports are one piece of the jigsaw, aren't they? But they do help parents, don't they, in terms of at least starting the discussion?
Yes, it's like anything else that you review as well. If you want to get a better idea of the overall picture, you need to know the little details as well and know more information about it that you can't always get. You can maybe get some feedback shared from other parents who've had their students at the school, but it is a good idea to have a better understanding of what the school is trying to achieve, what their targets are, what their goals, their vision is for that school, so that you know if it aligns with your vision as well. Is that the type of place that you want your child to grow in?
I always love looking on the social media groups, because every parent will tell you that their child's school is the best school. That's because that's the best school for their child. So don't go off those groups where there's all these people telling you that these schools are the best. Go and work out what's best for you. looking at all of those things that we're talking about. It's such a big decision.
Yeah, huge decision. Scott, I'm going to throw a question that maybe is slightly unexpected. I've chosen my school, but I'm just not happy. You know, 6 months down the line, I have this gut feeling inside that says it's a great school and it's a great school for that child, but for my child, this is not right. It doesn't feel right, or the traffic is horrendous. I can't manage this stress and anxiety anymore. How easy is it for parents to move school, and what guidance would you give them on that if they feel they've made the wrong choice?
Moving schools, if it's the traffic reason, that's something completely different. But if it's something where you thought this school's perfect for me and you're finding out that it's not, it's stepping back and asking the questions, okay, why isn't it? And going in and meeting with your curriculum lead, your deputy and the head teacher, having the discussions and trying to find out why, rather than just being reactive and going, there is a problem, you fix it. There's a great book, Change Your Question, and it's looking at going from judgmental to learner. And as parents, and sometimes as teachers and as students, we become judgmental. And it's knee-jerk reactions. Something's gone wrong. I don't like this. I have to change. It's, okay, something's gone wrong. What's the reasons behind it? Now let's sit down and have a conversation so we can come out with the best solution for everyone. Because I think jumping around different schools, it doesn't allow the student and the learner to settle. And it creates disruptions for them on that learning journey that they are on, maybe from EY all the way through up to year 5 and 6. Having that stability for them and trying to solve the problems that are around them rather than just removing and plonking somewhere else.
Yeah, Jadine, your thoughts on the same topic, because it's quite alarming. You see almost the CV of a child who's been in 3 schools over the course of 18 months.
CV.
And you think, goodness, what's gone wrong here? What would you say in terms of trying to work your way through that? And you know, you've made that choice in the first place. There must have been something that felt really right.
I agree with what you said. All the schools will always tell you that a school is a community. It's not just the school running on their own, the teachers, the principal, the leaders. The part of that community is the students and the parents. So you need to work as a community, address the things that are concerning you, work together to find solutions. That's the best way to find an answer to your problem, is pinpointing what's actually causing your frustrations or your fears about the school environment, and then work together. And once you have more information, or at least find some solutions that you can put into action, it will help you to find a way to make your child feel more supported and safer and give you peace of mind as well. But you have to remember that it's a school community. Work together, find solutions together, try the best that you can, and try and make the most out of every opportunity.
Laura, you actually talked about that sort of open door policy and how you feel. You know, if a parent is facing a challenge in a school, I think we're all in agreement that jumping ship is not actually the first solution. What guidance, what would you say to parents about how to work through those issues with the school?
I think it's just being open and honest. Like we said before, coming to the teachers, coming to the staff, talking to other people in the community, to find a solution. What is it that, what is the problem? What is the issue there? And trying to work together. And I think it's really important about having that relationship of people around that child. It's not just the teacher and it's not just the parent. We are a team, and making sure that you have that team around your child to make sure that they are successful. So making sure that you are open and honest with those people that are working with your child and around your child, and working together and making sure that we are able to come to some kind of solution. Not always happen, but hopefully with that open, honest dialogue that we can work something out.
There are times and places that carry, aren't they? My job has just been moved to Jebel Ali, and my school is over in Deira or Murdiff. Is it possible for parents to move school partway through the year, just so that parents understand what they can and can't do?
Yes, of course it is. But there's a process that you have to go through. So if you're moving jobs, you're moving to another emirate and so forth, you're moving from one end of Dubai to the other, and you've decided, right, we're changing schools, you need to inform the school. So you need to tell the admissions department as soon as possible. And then the KHDA again to safeguard children and to make sure that children are safe, you have to get a transfer certificate. Now, there is a charge for that, a small nominal fee for that. That's not a charge that the school keeps. That is for the KHDA. And that is to say that you have officially been in one school and that you are moving to another school. So there is that process, and that's to make sure that the UAE and the government and the people that are working with those children are safeguarding your child and making sure that that child is safe and that they're not going from one place to no education, for example. So it's another thing that's wonderful about being in the UAE. Although it's a piece of paperwork, it's to keep your child and the children in the UAE safe.
Before I just open it up to the floor, in case there are any questions from anybody that is sitting here today or listening in, final thoughts, you sort of, 20 seconds, final thoughts and guidance that you would share to parents about choosing the right school and what to look for.
Do your research. Step one, make sure you go and find the KHDA site with their ratings is very important. Go and see the school, like our colleague said, when it's active, when it's live. Have a look at the connections that the teachers have with the students. What feeling are you getting from the school? You're not going in and looking at it as a product you're buying. You're going in and joining a community, and you have to be part of that community. If that doesn't align with your values, then it's not the school for you.
Jadine, following on?
I think the most important for a parent is to always make sure your child is the center, the focus of your decisions. You're doing what's best for your child. You want them to be in the place that they're happy in, that they're going to thrive in. So always keep in mind the different aspects that help your child, because that's what all parents want. They just want the best situation and the best opportunities for their child. So keep your child's thoughts and ideas at the center of what you're focusing on when you look for a school.
Laura?
I mean, I think we've said most of it there. But yeah, I think first thing, work out what's your most important to start narrowing down. Is it your location? Is it the curriculum? Is it the facilities? What's your first priority? And then from there, narrow down your area or where you're going to start looking and get into schools and ask the schools those questions.
Carrie, any final thoughts to add to that?
If this is your child's first time in a school, please do again continue to think about that transition into school. It will be really hard for your child to go into any new environment, as it is for us when we start a new job, to settle. So if the school is suggesting a shorter start to the day, do take that on board. Although it might be difficult with work schedules, with your day, transport and so forth, that shorter period of time in school and transitioning into school for the first few days for our younger students is really, really important. So whether that's for the first week, 2 hours, the second week, half a day, and that's adaptable to your child. So if your child needs longer, that the school will follow that. It's not, this is what we're doing, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. Adapt to your child and make sure that your child feels safe and that they've built that connection before you move to those longer days. So this is more for our younger students, but it might be the case for our higher up in primary as well. But be adaptable and keep that decision around your child.
I think the thing that makes panel discussions very difficult for all of us is that there's a complete sharing of thought. There's no sort of divergent thought. I think we share philosophically what are the most important questions to ask. But there might be something that we haven't covered. And I wonder, does anybody in our audience today have any questions? If you do, just raise your hand and I'll bring a microphone down to you while you've got these experts sitting in front of you if you want to pick their brains. Any questions
And
from
yourself,
anybody?
Fiona?
Any questions from anybody? Look, I'm really grateful to colleagues. You've got some experts here from a range of different curriculums, a range of different phases, a range of different schools. They're all at their stands around this morning. I'd like to thank them all for their time, for being put on the spot by me. Sometimes having to, answer questions that we think are so logical, but I'm sure for first-time parents particularly are challenging questions for us to ask. So thank you to all colleagues this morning, to Carrie, to Laura, to Jadine and to Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. And as I said, you'll see them at their stands around this morning. Our next panel discussion at the School and Nursery Show is actually following on from that slightly, and it's about understanding the different curriculum choices. And we've touched on that slightly, but if you're interested in that, join us back here at this stand at 12 o'clock. So we look forward to seeing you then. And once again, thank you to colleagues for joining our panel this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.